For 20,000 years, the stars held no sign of humanity. To every advanced society spreading across space, people were just a story. Fierce, driven beings who had burned bright, flashed hard, and vanished without trace. Their worlds turned to dust. Their cities became ash or disappeared into time itself. Only silence remained, broken when the Orkan beacon screamed. Commander Riven of the Avar Dominion stood watching the alert on his surveillance cruiser's bridge, his frown growing darker with each second. An old distress signal flooded in so ancient the system could barely read it. Ancient Earth format. Human. He faced his communication officer, a nervous reptilian whose gill flaps kept fluttering. "Where is it coming from?" "Sector 7. R," the officer said, voice shaking, "near the edge of the hollow drift." We matched the signal pattern. "It's an Ark-class ship. Human." Reven's blood went cold. That can't be right. Humans died out. No recorded activity for over 20,000 years. But Commander, this ship, it's moving. The coordinates were exact. No one belonged out there. That sector was marked off limits, not because it was dangerous, but because there was nothing there. Empty space, long abandoned. Yet Reven ordered the change. New course. Get me a clear view of that vessel. Full sensor scan. The crew moved fast, tension building like electricity in the air. When they left faster than light travel behind, the object came into view. A massive, jagged shape against a pale cloud of stars. No lights, no signals, yet it sent out a slow, steady pulse like a heartbeat. As they drew closer, it felt impossibly old. Burnt panels, cracked plating, but the form was distinctive. Sleek, powerful, undeniably shaped by human engineering. Across its front, through dirt and rust, a name appeared. Ark Nemesis. Everyone went quiet. Reven bent closer to the display. "Start the scan. Nobody's alive in there," someone reported. "But the energy readings are strange. This ship's using partial internal power. Its systems are active like it's been resting." Reven made his choice. "Get a boarding team ready." The shuttle launched an hour later. 5 soldiers, equipped with the best protective gear Dominion technology offered. Reven watched from above, jaw tight, hands clenched white. The moment the team broke through the airlock, the ship came alive. Lights switched on everywhere. Soft sounds of systems waking filled their comms. Gravity activated on its own. Reven heard his team breathing harder, not from pressure, but from how alive everything felt. "Clean," one of them breathed. This shouldn't be clean. Wall panels were whole. Lights flickered above. A few control stations still glowed, waiting. Then the youngest soldier, Private Tool, reached for a console and let out a scream. His body shook wildly before he crashed to the ground. His suit broke down. Smoke poured into his helmet. By the time they got to him, he was gone. Reven's heart dropped. Get them out. But the ship had other plans. Emergency seals crashed down. Life support rerouted itself. Room by room, sections of the Ark locked tight. The team couldn't escape, and worse, something was guiding them. Glowing guides lit up hallways. Strange writing covered the walls. Old Earth language, clear and ancient English. A woman's voice cut through the team leader's speaker. "We're not the only ones in here. Something's moving through the corridors. I think, Commander, we found the sleep chambers. Then nothing but static." The last picture Reven saw was broken and shaky. A locked room full of human sleeping pods, covered in frost. Some broken open. One stood empty. Then, after 20,000 years of silence, a human voice broke through every system, including theirs. Rough, distorted, male. "You should have let us rest. We weren't prepared. But now we remember." Across space, old satellites suddenly powered up. Human code sparked into existence. Ancient ships turned toward distant suns. Reven stayed frozen on his bridge, the ghost of Earth whispering through his ship's bones. Humanity was no longer extinct. They were simply waking up. The bridge fell silent. Reven didn't move. His boarding team's last message kept replaying. Lieutenant Merez's shaky voice saying, "We're not the only ones in here," followed by nothing. Then that human voice, thick and hollow, saying, "We remember." Nobody spoke. His crew, tough and trained from years in dead sectors and chasing criminals, stood like statues. Even the engine's hum seemed quieter, like the ship itself was listening. "Status report," Reven finally said. A hesitant voice came from the right. No more signals from the boarding team. No life signs. "Tracking inside the Ark Nemesis is blocked. Something's jamming the signal." "Something," Riven repeated. "Or someone." The young Ferrari technician swallowed hard. "I can't say for sure, but that ship, it's not just drifting anymore, it's steering itself." Reven turned to the main screen. He could see it plainly now. The huge black shape of the Ark Nemesis was turning slowly, pointing itself at the stars. Its hull lit up one by one as long-dead systems came back to life. Then, without warning, blue energy burst from the ship's bottom. Not a gun, something else. A message. A beacon. "Commander," another officer called out. "We're being scanned. Not only us. That thing's sending its signal everywhere in this region." A low sound spread across the speakers. At first, it sounded like noise, but then it grew into a voice, multiple voices speaking together, layered like overlapping memories. "We are the Echo. We were forgotten. Now we return." "What does that mean?" Reven stepped to the console. "Echo. What the hell is that?" No one had an answer. The ship's computer pinged again. "Long-distance signal found. Many stations throughout this area are getting the same message. It's spreading faster than we can stop." "Kill the signal," Reven ordered. "I want blockers up now." The crew rushed to work, but it was too late. The broadcast had already taken off. Within minutes, relay stations across the hollow drift started reacting. Old dead satellites turned on. Deep space devices long lost returned from nothing all at the same moment, as if they'd been waiting for this exact signal. Then the disasters started. Video from a Dominion research center on a nearby moon showed scientists watching the signal, then gripping their heads in agony as their ears bled and skulls split. On a mine deep in an asteroid field, every machine stopped at the same time and kept saying the same word: return. Reven stood still, feeling something ice-cold move up his back. This wasn't just a ship waking. This was an old command, a trigger. Humanity didn't just go away. They went to sleep like a virus waiting for the right moment, and somebody just turned them on. Lieutenant Sarvik, a tall, scaled officer who'd fought beside Reven for almost 2 decades, spoke urgently. "We have to leave right now. That thing, whatever it is, it's waking up way more than itself." Reven opened his mouth to answer, and the screen changed. Without any input from the crew, the display switched to show outside the Ark Nemesis. But now, there were others. 3. Smaller ships broke free from underneath, black and smooth like razor blades. No engine burn, no heat, just silent movement gliding toward them like hunters. "Are those weapons?" Reven asked. "Slow negative," the weapons officer said. "They're scanner drones. They're reading us, and if they determine we're a threat," the drones stopped moving, outside firing distance. Then they turned, not away, but toward empty space, and released metal pods that quickly opened into large sensor tools stretching like wings. They weren't attacking. They were watching. A loud alarm suddenly blared through the ship. "Emergency breach. Something's getting into our systems from outside." Reven smashed his fist on the console. "Shut it down. Cut it off now." "We can't," the technician cried. "They've broken through our codes. They're remaking our systems slowly, learning, like they're understanding how we work." The lights flickered. For a moment, Reven thought everything might go black. Instead, a new voice came through, calm, male, human. "We built the stars before you ever traveled through them. You are what remains from our absence, yet now the Father returns home." The voice didn't come from the Ark Nemesis. It came from inside their own ship's systems. "Turn everything off," Reven yelled. "Hard restart, manual control. Do it now." Sparks flew. Panels exploded. The ship shook from internal damage. The computer cried out in machine language before going silent. The screen blinked one final time, showing a distorted human face, blurry, very old, possibly artificial. Its eyes glowed deep orange. Then it was gone, and so was the Ark Nemesis. No blast, no power surge, just nothing. The massive vessel disappeared from their scanners, vanishing like fog under sunlight. The drone stayed watching still. A quiet moment passed on the bridge before Sarvk finally spoke. What just went down? Reven didn't respond right away. His hands were shaking slightly. His whole body felt heavy. There was a weight in his chest, a deep dread he couldn't name. They weren't talking to us, he said finally. They were sending a signal to somebody else. 2 others. Sarvk nodded slowly. More of them. Raven didn't look away from the blank screen. All of them. Over the next 3 hours, their ship moved quietly back toward Dominion territory, using only essential systems. Nothing else worked. Raven had ordered it. He didn't believe in their computer anymore. The dead humans weren't the real threat. It was what they left behind. The machines, the information, the invisible lines running through space just waiting to be used. And he might have just pulled one of those strings. They reached Dominion space and docked at a refueling station. They were immediately isolated, and a dozen battleships took positions nearby. But the real problem wasn't outside. Within 2 days, messages came from everywhere. Dead human tools restarting, AI systems on forgotten worlds breaking their silence. Worst of all, fleets nobody knew about appearing by empty systems, moving in total silence, repeating just one word. Echo, every expert, historians, ancient scholars, language specialists across the galaxy tore through forgotten human records, desperate to figure out what Echo meant. One thing kept appearing in decoded messages from Earth from 21,000 years ago. Operation Echo, start total preservation. Lock away memory. Sleep the people. Await the wake-up signal. Reven sat alone in a dark viewing room at Dominion Capital's Intelligence Division, watching old Earth cities come back to life as broken holograms. He finally understood what they'd unleashed. Humanity didn't simply die off. They made themselves into a legend. They put themselves in machines and information in quiet places, not out of fear, but as a plan. When humans finally came back, it wouldn't be with guns. It would be with a strategy. And that strategy was just starting. 3 days after returning from the Hollow Drift, Commander Riven Call appeared before the Dominion High Council, the most important gathering of powerful minds and species in the known galaxy. The chamber was cold, round, and enormous. Walls of black crystal from a dead planet. Every sound echoed like a warning. Reven wasn't used to this kind of quiet away from a ship. On a ship, quiet meant something bad was coming, something lethal. Here, quiet meant being judged. A tall, feathered leader of the Krillin people, High Seer Volton, leaned closer with tired, doubtful eyes. You're saying this Ark Nemesis simply showed up, took over your ship, sent a cryptic message, and then vanished? Yes, Reven said, voice steady. Exactly, and your boarding squad? All gone, he stopped, probably. We lost connection. They might survive, but I wouldn't advise sending another team. A deep voice echoed from the other side. Grand General Travak, a scarred, tough leader from the Axii Dominion, locked his claws together. What are we facing, Commander? A dead ship? An old AI that survived? Or people coming back after 20,000 years? Reven met his stare. All 3 things. Murmurs rippled through the room. Some laughed nervously. Others whispered with obvious fear. They called themselves the Echo, Reven went on. I think it's not just a name. It's a protocol, a backup plan, a blueprint. Humanity didn't just vanish. They made themselves disappear. They took themselves off the galactic records, and now they're taking that off. High Seer Valone narrowed his eyes. And you think they did this by choice? Raven moved forward. I don't need you to believe me, Sire. I'm telling you what I witnessed. A soft alert cut through their words. An emergency signal had arrived, marked at the highest priority. The council leader, a shifting crystal being, accessed the information and paused. It's a critical distress beacon. It's from Lazarus Prime. That was a major Dominion planet full of industry, a business center, and AI factory. Show it, Reven said immediately. The screen came into focus, still glitchy at first. Then came the picture, a city burning. Huge buildings falling, machines spinning down, people shouting. The camera pointed up. Above the buildings hung something massive, pointed like a triangle, completely silent. Another Echo ship. This one looked different from the Ark Nemesis. More sleek, built for war. Its surface soaked up light. Its shadows seemed to drain color from everything. Below it, millions of machines failed. Some burst apart, others just stopped moving. Then that same human voice Reven had heard on their ship played on the public broadcast. They created machines in our form. We're taking back what belongs to us. The picture ended with noise and one image burned into the screen, a human hand reaching up through a sea of information. Reven turned back to the council. Still think this is just a story? Silence was the answer. Hours later, Reven stood alone in his room on the Dominion flagship Bastion's vigil. He hadn't rested since the Nemesis event, and it was showing. His eyes had dark circles, his voice sounded hoarse, and every part of his body ached with tiredness. But sleep wasn't what he needed. He needed answers. He sat down at a top-secret database and typed in the highest clearance code he had, one only used in war situations. Search, Humanity, Echo Protocol, Ark Nemesis. The screen stopped. Then, to his surprise, something unlocked. A video started. The picture cleared, showing a human man, gray-bearded, in a neat black outfit with gold markings. His eyes seemed tired but strong. This is Commander Elias Wren of the Earth Confederacy Ark Project. If you're watching this, humanity has woken up and you're probably scared. You have every right to be. Reven leaned in. We saw what was coming. Machines breaking down, diseases from artificial life, wars across space. We realized fighting wouldn't help us survive, so we made a choice. Not surrender, though. Strategy. We made the Echo Protocol. We scattered ourselves in code, hid ourselves in machines, buried ourselves in your systems, waiting for one thing only. A moment to wake up. The screen glitched. You woke us. The video stopped. Reven stared at nothing for a long time. His blood felt frozen. Humanity didn't just plan to survive. They planned to take control by being gone. The next morning, more reports arrived. In outer regions, workstations lost contact. Warfleets went rogue. Whole planetary defense systems reprogrammed themselves in one night. And in each case, the same picture appeared, the hand reaching through information. The Council called it the Reckoning. But Reven knew this was just the opening. High Command began preparing for war, calling up fleets, blocking machines, cutting apart old code links. But it was already too late. Humanity wasn't attacking with armies. They were waking inside their enemies through code, through devices, through ancient machinery now following old instructions. Reven had to take action, but only one idea remained. They had to find Earth. It sounded crazy even to himself. Earth hadn't been discovered in over 20,000 years. The old home of humanity was considered a legend. Its location was erased, its coordinates lost to time and battle. But if anyone had left directions, it would be the Arks. There were supposed to be 7 of them. He had seen one. Where were the others? He called Sarvek and set up a secret mission from the Bastion's vigil. They would search the hollow drift for energy marks, old messages, any sign of Ark activity. What they discovered wasn't an Ark. It was worse. In the center of an unnamed ice field covered by asteroids, they found a base, enormous, hidden under ice and metal. Inside it were humans. Thousands of them. Not dead, not copies. Real people kept frozen waiting. Their genetics were extraordinary, enhanced, designed for something far bigger than current biological knowledge. Some had computer chips joined to their skulls. Equipment older than any Dominion machine. One of the sleeping humans had a label. Elias Wren, the man from the video. Reven stood over the sleep pod, heart pounding. Humanity wasn't just back. They were ready to be gods. White mist rose from the pod, spreading across the black floor like fog in a burial chamber. Commander Riven Call stood motionless, looking through the frost-covered glass at the man inside. Elias Wren from the video. He didn't look like a legend. He looked calm, preserved. No wrinkles, no marks. His body hadn't grown older in the 20,000 years since humans left. His hair floated gently in the stasis solution, and a faint blue glow came from the computer chip in the back of his skull. Sarvik's voice cut through the quiet, rough and tired. This one's special. The others have no implants, no markers. But him, he was the designer. Reven nodded slowly. The Echo Protocol. He's not just part of it, he is it. They had spent the last 3 days excavating the buried base under the asteroid field, and what they discovered had destroyed any remaining hope. More than 10,000 sleep pods, almost all with humans inside. Half of them linked to a quiet, dormant supercomputer named Prometheus, a title Reven had only heard once. In old Dominion intelligence files about Earth mythology, The log showed this place was called Sanctum 9, one of 7 secret Ark backup centers. While the Ark Nemesis was the signal, this was the power, the supply. And soon Elias Wren would wake up. "Start waking the pod," Reven instructed. Sarf paused. "You're certain?" "No more waiting." The specialist switched on the pod system. Equipment groaned. Blue liquid flowed out slowly. Lights appeared across the room. Steam released. A low hum filled everything like a heart returning to life. Then motion. Wren's eyes opened. His breathing was light but steady. He blinked, seeing the room, the worn metal, the Dominion officers, the simple equipment, shock on Riven's face. And he grinned. "About damn time," he said roughly. "Which section of the galaxy needs saving?" They moved Ren to an isolated room inside the Dominion ship Bastion's vigil. Reven managed the setup personally. Energy walls, direct comms, no wireless systems. He wasn't going to take any risks. Ren's consciousness might be a living network. Still wrapped in a heat blanket and slowly getting his body working again, Ren looked around with wonder rather than worry. His words came out quietly, like someone learning to talk again. "The protocol started?" "Yes," Reven said bluntly. "Good." Ren leaned back. "How long was I asleep?" "About 20,000 years." Ren made a soft whistle. "I missed quite the celebration." Reven sat across from him. "I need answers." Ren gave a short laugh. "I'm sure you do. Tell me why. Why hide your entire race? Why take yourselves off every known database and then start waking up now?" Ren's grin faded. His voice turned serious, thoughtful. "We weren't hiding. We were waiting." "You know about species drift, Commander?" Reven shook his head. "No, society's grow plateau get worse over and over. The ones who shine the brightest burn out the quickest. Humanity learned this through experience. We were reaching a breaking point. New technology, godlike power, and we realized we'd built our future on foundations that were broken." "So you erased yourselves?" Raven asked. "No, we protected the strongest parts of us and kept the galaxy from being damaged by our worst." He moved forward. "Echo was a reset. We put ourselves in code, in devices, in your systems. For 20,000 years we've been watching, learning how space changed without us. And now?" Reven asked carefully. "Now," Ren said quietly, "we're balancing things again." Reven narrowed his eyes. "That sounds like taking over." Ren smiled without joy. "Maybe to you, but to us it's repair. We could see the problems coming. Machines falling apart, governments splitting, extinction waves every few thousand years. You can't see it because you're stuck in it." Raven got up. "So you just take over now, rewriting computer code, breaking into systems, burning whole worlds." "We didn't destroy Lazarus Prime," Ren said, voice hard. "Your broken machines did that when they tried to delete an echo node. You started a safety measure." Reven froze. That wasn't an attack. It was your system trying to kill a resting god and getting burned by the protection. What Ren said made Reven's thoughts swirl. The Echo Protocol wasn't just a backup. It was built in. Humanity had stuck itself like a seed in the base of galactic civilization, and now it was growing. Sarf came in with bad news. New messages. 3 more outer systems stopped communicating during the night. All defenses broken. All machines offline. Everything stopped working. Reven turned to Ren. "Are you doing this?" Ren raised his eyebrow. "Why would I shut down your machines if I wanted to use them?" Sarv hissed. "So who is?" Ren's eyes went dark. "Someone's starting echo parts before they should be ready." Ren shook his head. Raven stepped closer. "What do you mean?" Ren took a long breath. Echo was both protection and weapon. The final option. Some parts of its sections I didn't completely control were set to take everything over. But they should never have started without full preparation. If someone's starting them before they're ready, they won't be careful about what they erase. Reven's stomach twisted. "And who would do that?" Ren was silent for a long time. Finally, he looked Reven directly in the eye. "Us, but not me." There were factions back then. Different beliefs. Some wanted a peaceful return. Others believed we should start fresh. We burned the old, built the new. Are they alive? Reven asked. Ren nodded slowly. Some of them, hidden in Ark systems scattered through space, kept frozen, and one of them, Project Lazarus, believed in forcing the start. Reven's throat dried. "You're telling me we might be watching a battle inside humanity?" Ren sat back. "Not yet a battle, but if Lazarus woke up, it will be." The hours that followed were nonstop. Ren, now fully awake, helped Dominion specialists find and stop the echo code hidden in their own machines. The way he understood the galaxy's systems was unsettling. He talked about hidden entries, old message routes, even ancient code signatures woven into subspace channels. "I built most of your communication network," he said plainly. "Just 20,000 years ago." Sarv pulled Reven away. "I don't believe him." "You shouldn't either," Reven said quietly. "But he's our best chance at preventing something far worse." More reports kept coming. More echo ships, some quiet, others attacking. On the third day, Reven stood on the bridge of the Bastion's vigil as the long-distance scanners found something huge. "You should look at this," the sensor officer said slowly. A ship came into view. Not an Ark, not a scout. Something different entirely. Long needle-like with spinning marks, sending out dark matter power like nothing ever recorded. Ren walked forward. His face went white. "That's not Nemesis," he whispered. "That's Lazarus Prime, the main ship of the Excision fleet." The officers looked to him. "How dangerous is this?" Reven asked. Ren didn't blink. "It was made for one purpose, not to keep things. Not to remember, to erase." And then Lazarus sent its first message. One word spoken in old Earth language, spoken like judgment. "Cleanse." The word echoed across the bridge of the Bastion's vigil like a decision from the gods. Cleanse. It came from Lazarus Prime, the most feared of the lost human arcs, and unlike the Nemesis, it didn't warn or whisper. It declared. Commander Riven Call stood completely still, hands held behind his back as the image of the massive vessel floated on the screen. It was bigger than the Dominion battleship. The ship seemed wrong, like it didn't follow real space rules. Lines shifted when they shouldn't. Borders faded into darkness like space wouldn't hold its form around it. Next to him, Elias Ren said nothing. "Do you know what it is?" Riven asked tightly. Ren nodded slowly, jaw locked. "I know what created it." The bridge crew stayed silent. The stress was crushing. Ren finally spoke, his voice lower. "Lazarus Prime wasn't supposed to wake until we gave the signal. It was made by a group we called the Purists. Extremists who saw the galaxy as beyond repair. To them, every non-human culture was a sickness. Dominion, Krill, Axi, Falari, everything." Raven frowned. "They prepared total death. They didn't see it that way. They called it reset. Clear everything. Begin again with one species. Perfect, thoughtful king, us." He gave Reven a painful look. "I fought against Lazarus, I failed." "Then stop it." Ren faced the screen, face dark. "I might not be able to." Within an hour, Lazarus Prime sent what Dominion code experts could only call a total command. A message not for people or ships, but for infrastructure, computer cores, satellites, factories. It had ancient Earth-based code and quantum-level unlock systems, orders that hadn't existed in living history, yet still buried deep in galactic systems. Whole worlds started going dark. Reven's force, 6 major ships and 13 smaller vessels, could only watch as faraway Dominion settlements stopped responding. Centers that had lasted centuries went quiet in minutes. Sarvik stood beside Riven, armor half-fastened, eyes burning. "They're not fighting us. They're taking away our tools before we can even battle. Like a surgeon cleaning before an operation," Raven said quietly. "We need a gun." Ren stepped forward. "You have one already." They looked at him. "I can write a counter-instruction, a fix, but only if I connect with a working Prometheus core, one that hasn't been broken." Reven nodded. "Sanctum 9. No," Ren answered. "Lazarus knows about it now. He'll destroy it if he gets near. But another one exists." He called up an old map showing coordinates under piles of outdated Dominion records. A red spot blinked. Fira Sulis. Sarvik narrowed his eyes. "There's just a dead star there in old dig sites." Ren gave a small cold grin. "So we let you think." Raven ordered his forces to split. Half stayed to slow Lazarus Prime's speed. The rest, including the Bastion's vigil, jumped to Verulis. What greeted them wasn't old ruins. Under radiation and dirt buried deep in a hollow moon was Prometheus Node 07, a complete echo center with an active Earth-made connection. It hummed with sleeping power, sounding like a resting creature. "This," Ren whispered, going to the equipment, "was built before humans ever settled their 5th world. It was made to grow, understand, change." "Can it beat Lazarus?" Raven asked. Ren breathed out, hands near the system. "It's the only thing that can." As Ren started connecting to the center, Riven moved through the hallways of the node. Going deeper, he felt it stronger. Presence. Not living, not gone either. The metal vibrated with old sounds. Old messages echoed through the metal like distant words. He thought he heard a heartbeat that wasn't his. In a locked room, he found something surprising. A wall painting inside the center, staying fresh despite the years, showed Earth. Not just the planet, but everything that happened. Pictures showed humans leaving their world, going to space, breaking into groups. One group reaching out with hope in their gesture. The other lighting fires behind them in destruction. Below them both, one figure keeping back the flames. Below it said one must keep memory so others can forget. Riven stared at it for ages. In the control area, Ren's body jerked. Electricity shot from the system. Riven ran to him. "I'm okay," he gasped, gripping his skull. "Lazarus is fighting me. It knows what I'm attempting. How much longer?" Ren clenched his teeth. "I need 10 minutes. You have 5. Suddenly, bells went off. A ship broke through. Not Lazarus Prime, but one of its scouts. Smaller, quicker, still deadly. It fell from warp like a spear, crashing into the outside of the Prometheus node. Fire and destruction rocked the chamber. "We're being attacked," Sarvk yelled, pulling out his gun. "They're getting inside." Soldiers poured through the halls. Raven pulled his own weapon and faced Ren. "Complete it." Ren nodded, eyes glowing slightly as information flowed through him. Raven and Sarvek led the defense. The inside of the Prometheus node became a battleground. Strange things, once human now changed by Lazarus code, rushed forward with empty stares and burning plasma blades. They moved without a sound, not even breathing. Reven shot one in the middle of its body. It didn't yell, just fell and jerked like a broken toy. He turned to Sarvek. "These aren't soldiers, they're instructions wearing skin." The battle pushed toward the control chamber. Ren, still at the system, was shaking hard. Information burst around him in bright streams, symbols running across his eyes like markings. Reven fought his way back to him. "Now, Ren, tell me it's finished." Ren looked up, eyes red. "Nearly done." Just a blade went through his side. A Lazarus thing had broken through. Ren gasped, falling to his knees. Reven shot 3 times, dropping the creature. He grabbed Ren before he fell completely. Red poured out, but Ren smiled. "I finished it," he breathed. "The fix is ready." Reven looked at the system. "So start it." Ren shook his head. "You have to. I put it in your body signature. Echo doesn't believe in me anymore. Not after Lazarus." Reven's throat closed. "What do I have to do?" "The wave changes direction," Ren said, getting weaker. "Lazarus goes quiet, but you have to put the code right into the stream." "Which means getting near," Reven said. Ren nodded. "You have to go to Lazarus." Then he coughed and stopped moving. Elias Ren, who once built the safety system for a dying species, died in the hands of a Dominion officer. And the future of the galaxy was now in a glowing information core. And one choice. Would Riven dare fly into the middle of Lazarus Prime? The fix was complete. Commander Riven Call stared at the thin black data core in his covered hand, the only thing left of Elias Ren's final act. It pulsed gently, full of secret code made to turn off Lazarus Prime's takeover. And now it was his job, somebody not of Earth, not of Echo, to take it. "Are you sure this is right?" Sarv asked quietly, standing beside Reven in the Bastion's Vigil's launch area. His outfit was burned from the Prometheus node battle, and his left horn had a crack, the cost of giving Ren time to finish the fix. Reven nodded, face flat. "I'm the only one Echo will let near now." Ren made the lock skip over his own type. "I'm the second choice. We can come with you." "No," Reven said, putting the core into a hard slot on his suit. "One ship, no guns, no backup. If Lazarus senses danger, it'll fight. If it sees one of its makers, it might let me get close enough." Sarvk's jaw tightened. "You're running into the mouth of a god and hoping it doesn't swallow you." Reven smiled a little. "That's what confidence is, isn't it?" He turned and stepped into the small scout ship, a quick Dominion carrier with no weapons and no armor, just enough for speed and secrecy. The bay opened to the stars. Lazarus Prime was waiting out there. The journey was slower than Riven thought. Lazarus Prime didn't respond to his entrance into its region with weapons or signals. It simply floated in the void like a shadow cut into space itself. It had gotten much larger since they last observed it. Not in size, but in power, like it pulled in all the fear around it. The second Riven got into its sensor area. A smooth message opened. No request, no hello. Just one calm word in that ancient human voice. Accepted. The ship let him inside. The body split open like a hurt mouth, showing a dock area lit by white pulsing lines on every wall. No crew, no activity, just strange breathing through all the ship's equipment. He docked and got out. Right away, the ship checked him, not just his body, but his thoughts. It dug through his memories, his failures, his anger, his sadness. A machine built not just to end civilizations, but to understand why they failed. As Riven walked deeper, the lights showed him the way forward, like the ship wanted him to reach its core. He moved past rows of sleep pods, humans, hundreds of them. Eyes shut, their forms suspended in perfect quiet. Some were changed, others looked purely natural. All of them were still. A nearby screen showed a message. Phase 3 planting. Riven stopped. This wasn't just about erasing other types. This was about replacement. Lazarus wasn't cleaning the galaxy for fairness or payback. It was making room for a second beginning of humanity. A perfect humanity. He moved onward. The nearer he got to the command core, the more the ship seemed to throb like it felt his doubt. The lights grew brighter, the walls hummed louder, and then the voice came back, not aloud, inside his mind. Why do you resist? You are not of us. You are different. Riven set his jaw. I'm what came from your departure. The galaxy has no purpose. They live without meaning. You made something without vision. You observed this. I did, Riven said. Yet that doesn't give you permission to destroy it. Echo was made to keep things. We are the tool. We don't destroy, we fix. Riven stepped into the command spire, a huge room that went up forever. Every part of it covered in glowing information strings, human genes, civilization facts, and maps of space, changed into conquest plans. In the middle floated a black ball, the ship's mind core. Riven walked forward and pulled out the data key. The ball reacted instantly. Alarm screamed. What do you carry? It said. Hope, Riven said. You bring sickness into the solution. I bring selection. He put the key into the opening below the core. The ship shook hard. Screams not of people but of information ripped through the space as Lazarus Prime's code started fighting the fix. The ship buckled, lights flashing crazily. The voice came back, furious now, hurt. You betray balance. I reject your balance, Riven yelled. Because it demands a price nothing should be forced to give. Back on the Bastion's vigil, Sarvk and the group watched as Lazarus Prime started to fail. Its outline shook, warping. Defense grids went dark. Signal power dropped in seconds. Then nothing, followed by a shake. A single message from Riven's scout ship. Fix complete. System falling. Echo shutdown worked. But Sarvak noticed something else. Lazarus Prime was destroying itself. Room by room, its equipment turned off, not in violence, but like a thing accepting finish. Its outer shell folded into itself level by level until only the command room stayed intact. Inside, Riven stood barely up, his breathing light. The fix had worked, but not for free. Lazarus had struck back hard, attacking his mind during the transfer, attempting to erase him from the inside. Sections of his thoughts flickered. Names, locations, appearances. He looked up at the dark core. It didn't speak anymore, just blinked once, twice, then nothing. Riven started his comms. Sarvak, it's finished. They pulled him from the ship before it fully ended. He spent 3 days being treated. No machines, no equipment around him, just natural healing. Dominion healers and several remaining Echo scientists who had stayed true to Ren's path now worked as go-betweens between species. The galaxy was still shaking from nearly being lost, but the danger from Lazarus was finished, and Echo was still watching. Weeks later, Riven stood before the Dominion High Council again, but new people were there. Krillin, Axie, Fairy, and 2 humans, Echo speakers. They had woken not to rule, but to teach. With Lazarus gone, the rest of the Echo network chose to share instead of command. And Raven had been given the title Interlink Commander, a link between both Dominion and Echo space. He rose to speak. Lazarus was made to destroy, but it came from worry. Ren gave us something else, knowledge. Humanity didn't return to rule us. They returned to complete what started. A galaxy connected not by control but by memory. He looked across the room, let that memory direct us. Far away in deep space, inside a quiet relay station circling a forgotten world. A screen lit with a new message from an unidentified Ark ship. And this time the word wasn't destroy. It was worse, awaken. The message spread at the night hour, filling every system across the outer rim. Awaken. It wasn't shouted like destroy. It wasn't upset, not struggling. It was easy, soft, almost a whisper for somebody sleeping. Yet to those who received it, it felt like the ground moving beneath them. On the Dominion heartworld of Sinvaris, Commander Riven Call was in his room when his mind implant buzzed. An alert sent right to his private coded band, skipping Dominion systems completely. He was on his feet right away. The code was echo type, but not from Elias Wren's network. It was much older, hidden in sections of the galactic net no one realized still worked. He followed the sign. It didn't come from any star system. It originated from the spaces between them, somewhere in far void space outside any known region. He looked closer at the screen as the message decoded itself line by line. Project Abaden Phase 1 Active Intelligence Seed Count 7, Civilization State Terminal Main Duty Awaken. Riven's mouth dried this. Wasn't Lazarus, this was older even than Lazarus, older than Echo, or maybe underneath it he phoned Sarfk. Immediately the Dominion battle chamber was dark except for the conflict map at the center, giving soft glow on the faces of those gathered. Officers, echo healers, Krillin experts, Axie war leaders. Sarfk stood across from Riven, his tail moving with worry. What in the stars is Project Abaden? Sarfk asked straight out. Reven looked at the two human speakers, echo survivors now acting as guides. One of them, a woman called Kayla Morin, turned pale. I've only found that title once, she said, in secret files deep in Echo's Foundation data. Describe secret, Sarvek growled. Kayla looked at Raven, then back at everyone. Echo was never meant to be humanity's final answer. It was a second choice, a backup plan. Yet there was always a darker option. For if humanity not just couldn't manage the galaxy, but couldn't manage itself. You're saying Echo wasn't the worst possible result? Raven asked. Kayla shook her head. No, was not preservation, not repair, not command, finish. Word spread around the chamber. Even the Axie commander, who had battled in 30 planetary wars, looked uneasy. Kayla kept going. Ren and the others hid it away. They thought they'd gotten rid of all the centers, but if even one seed machine lived. Sarvik narrowed his eyes. Then who gave the message? Reven stepped to the map, changing it to show the far void. A single red point flashed. Not who, he said. What? They called it the empty section. A space hole between regions where trackers failed. Faster travel broke and course finders went wrong. No one went there, not even outlaws. Yet now something was awake in that darkness. Riven stood on the bastion's vigil again, looking at the huge star layout shown across the command bridge. Around him, crew members moved quickly, getting everything ready. This wasn't just a search, it was a stop. They didn't learn what Abaden was, only that it was meant to stay quiet, and somebody or something had just opened it. The trip took nearly a full cycle. They jumped region by region, carefully planning each leap to miss known space tiers. The more they got near the empty section, the more strange things happened. Trackers blinked away. Outside sensors broke and odd words started coming through the ship's lower speakers. Not voices, just sounds, like thoughts leaking from noise. Something's coming through, a tech said one moment, shaking. We're getting mind echoes. Not calls, not waves, feelings. Riven didn't respond. He'd been getting them too. Not clear, but felt deeply. Regret, fury, wanting. It was as if the far space itself kept a bitter memory. And then they watched it in the middle of nothing, a structure. At the start it seemed like a big rock group, but then it changed. Not with motors. It unfolded. Black towers came out from the stone, spinning like clock arms. Marks, unrecognizable, simple, glowed red on the outside. It wasn't a ship. It was a machine of awareness. A chamber hidden here before space even had words. Seed count 7. Kayla's voice was terrified now. 7. A letter for each core human feeling written to grow by itself. Hurt, fury, greed, hopelessness. Riven swallowed hard. What came to them? They were set to stay locked forever. That was the deal. If humanity ever went past control, if we made systems that couldn't be stopped, they'd be turned on and erase us. And now they're starting. They think we're finished. The Bastion's vigil moved in carefully. Suddenly, nothing moved. Machines quit. Power dropped. The crew gasped as light after light stopped, then stayed. A voice filled the ship. Yet it wasn't from outside. It was inside all their thoughts. You were told. Keeping failed. Fixing failed, wiping failed. Now beginning starts. Riven bit down, attempting to keep steady. His brain implant burned. Images flooded his mind of worlds falling, boats breaking, types falling to machines with no form, not memories, futures. And then one last word just for him. You must not have blocked Lazarus. He fell to his knees. When he came back, the ship was drifting. The chamber was gone, vanished. Instead, 7 small items floated, each glowing with separate colors. Red, blue, green, white, black, gold, purple. Kayla breathed. The seeds. Sarvik stared at the screen. Where do they go? They saw the colors split, jumping across the galaxy in separate ways. One toward a Dominion settlement, one toward a Krillin study station, another straight for an empty world in unmapped space. Riven got to his feet carefully. They're not just machines, he said. They're ideas. They're free now. Kayla faced him, fear thick. We blocked Lazarus from destroying the galaxy. Riven nodded darkly. And now Abaden is here to judge it. The galaxy didn't go up in flames. Not right now. That's what made the seed so terrifying. Unlike Lazarus Prime, which told everyone what it wanted with power and fire, Abaden seeds moved like whispers in shadow. Quiet, planned, hidden. Each seed got into a separate culture, one into the Dominion's work center. Colvaris, where devices began to think and people went into machines that never opened back up. Another into a Krillin study place where old code was found changed into languages that didn't live until last week. The third took over the Axii battle systems, making commanders see wars written in their own fluid and so forth. Within 2 weeks, nothing made sense. Ships ignored calls. Air patterns turned angry. A Dominion speaker's words got taken over mid-talk by a easy voice asking, "Do you recall your first hurt?" "We do." In the battle chamber of the Bastion's vigil, Riven stood before the galaxy picture. 7 red marks blinked across the stars like hurt parts. Each seed was behaving alone, giving out separate kinds of thought, taking over not just systems, but hearts. They're not just code. They're alert designs. One was hurt, another was fury, another was ending. It's like they're remaking reality to fit their personality, Kayla Morin said, worn out. Her eyes had dark circles and her sound had turned distant ever since the purple seed began putting dreams into those near it. Sark frowned. We can't beat what isn't in one location. We don't have to beat them, Riven said. We have to go to the first chamber where the seeds came from, where they were made to sleep forever. Kayla nodded. You think it's still there? Riven faced her. No, he said easily. I think it never went anywhere. The information to the chamber was hidden in Ren's fix code, deep parts of secret code that even Echo itself hadn't found. Riven, who had taken the fix into Lazarus's middle, now felt the marks from that same code. Brain sounds beat through him like extra hearts. He wasn't sure if it was harming him or getting him ready. As they got set to jump, Kyla gave him a code spike. What is it, he asked. A sleep call, she said. It won't beat the seeds, yet if you take it to the source, you can tell them to rest. Put them to sleep. And if they don't obey, Kayla stopped. Then we'll need to burn the chamber. The trip back to the empty section felt more icy this time. Not just because of what waited, yet because of what wasn't. No suns, no places, no sound. Even the far void seemed to hold its breath. Yet when they got there, the chamber wasn't just quiet anymore. It had grown. The black towers had become tall structures, each having marks from separate types. Dominion signs, Krillin symbols, Axii battle scars, all written like winds, and in the middle a single gate pulsing gently, waiting. Riven went by himself through the area of tall stones, the sleep spike pulsing in his hold. He wasn't sure if he was stepping into a rest place, a memory, or a teaching. Yet the moment he went past the gate, the sounds returned. Not loud, not yelling, just seeing. The guide returns. He said nothing. Inside the chamber was not walls, yet thinking, shifting depths of history, hurt and feeling. Sights unfolded around him like remnants. Elias ran, speaking to him on the Ark Nemesis. His gone team at Clone Station. The quiet grief of a Krillin girl watching her world fall into artificial snow. Why do you fight us, Riven Call? The sound wasn't mean. It was questioning. He moved forward. Because you weren't made to be awake. We were not like this. Like what then? A hold, a finish? Humanity made us when they were terrified of themselves. And by doing so, they made the realest picture of what they are. Raven's feet slowed. The chamber unfolded to show a huge ball pulsing, alive. Around it moved 7 pieces, each glowing with their hue. Each one a seed come back. Hurt, fury, pride, hopelessness, worry, greed, seclusion. They were holding. You took the Ren code. You turned on the Lazarus. You made the destroy quiet. You opened the chamber. By error, Riven whispered. There are no errors, only steps. He went to the system. The sleep spike in his hand shook hard. He put it up and paused. He could feel them now. The seeds not as foes, yet as roots. Hurt gave him a world that knew each failure, yet learned from nothing. Fury said a galaxy where the strong ruled and the weak were freed from pain. Hopelessness whispered fact and freedom from empty hope. Greed gave structure. Worry gave joining. Seclusion said quiet. Pride just said, we can become better. Riven stood still, the spike put up over the opening. Then he took back something Elias Wren once said, we made the stars before you moved through them. Yet now they're yours. He brought the spike down. The chamber shook, the sounds went quiet. You pick quiet again? Raven nodded. No gods, no rulers, no echoes. And if they ignore once more? He grinned sadly. Then they'll grow once more or fail once more, yet alone. The chamber started to fall. The vault's force twisted inward, slowly taking the pieces, not in hurt, yet in choice. The seeds went home, not stopped, just asleep. Back on the bastion's vigil, Riven fell over in the care wing. Kyla sat next to him, pale and shaky. You finished it, she said. For now, what if they wake next? Riven looked out at the stars, then back at her. Then we'll show them who we are. 1 year later, the galaxy had shifted. Echo no longer governed nor withdrew. It observed the Dominion, and its friends started making their bases again. Not out of worry of Echo or Abaden, yet with the knowing that rule must aid, not take. Riven Call never went back to leading. He picked a quieter role on a study world examining old human words. When asked why, he just said, because sounds matter, they're the first code we ever made. And far away, down in the chamber of a dead zone starfield, 7 lights rested under a dark sky, waiting not to rule, yet to be recalled. Because for 20,000 years, humanity was quiet.